Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
My name is Don. I'm an alcoholic. Glad to be here tonight. I'm meeting people I haven't seen in a long time. I enjoy our Al-Anon talk. I had a hunch I wasn't that guilty. You know, my sobriety date is the 13th of June, 1972, and my sponsor was not a kind voice on the end of a phone. It was actually, the first one wasn't that bad. I had Keith Carpenter for about 12 years. I had me for almost a year, and then I ended up going to Clancy in desperation. I believe in sponsorship. I believe in regimentation. I believe in all the things that I didn't bring with me. I didn't bring God with me. He's, get over there where you belong, sir. And it used to make me nervous because you'd come into meetings, there's a lot of God talk. And then y'all want to hold hands. And I come from out of the prison system, and I wasn't much for letting a man hold my hand. You never know where the weak link is. I worked real hard to get here intact. I walked through the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous, and most everything in my life that ever offended me was there in the room. It was 26th and Broadway. It was 1970, and I didn't like prison, but I knew it real well, and I knew how to live there, and I knew all the rules of a good convict, how to live there, and you work on that over the years. It becomes just a way of it. It's a natural response almost. And I walk into the meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous in 1970. I'd been put in a halfway house in Hollywood for ex-convicts, not AA. They all agreed that I had a problem with alcohol because every time I'd have a parole hearing or anything, it would be on there, you know, I wasn't allowed to drink, wasn't allowed to associate with other convicts. I said, Christ, you know, I would have had that phrase out of the big book, what an order, I can't go through with it. Fit me a long, long time before it got here. But I had a lot of problems when I walked in this room. Number one, I didn't trust anybody. And all you are is a bunch of teeth. It's, hi, how are you? You know, just, number two, I don't know how I are. I know how I am after the fact. In my first marriage, you could tell how I was by the holes in the wall, by where the children laid, because I had a bad habit of getting them out of my way. Anything that gave me a dissension, I treated with violence, and because it was the most effective tool. I mean, they will stop. You may not be able to fix them, but you can make them regret it. And I worked hard at that. And then I walk in, and I remember I'm standing there in 1970. I'd done 2.5 years, and then I was out for 2 months, and I'd done 3 years, and I was out for, I met a redhead. Stayed out 9 months that time, and I went back to prison, and I was going back for, just a little bit of time, maybe 3 years, because I'd already done that much. And they put me in one of their fire camps, and I'm out there in the camp. I drink a little bit when I'm in prison. Now, you probably don't all realize that we can do that. You got to become a chemist. You learn how to create and build your own alcohol. And I was pretty good at it. And I was pretty good at hiding it. And so I didn't go too long without a drink. If all avoidable, I just didn't go. And we was out to prison camp, and the guys came up to me and they said, look, we're going to take up a collection of money. And this is up near Sonora, California. We're going to take a collection of money, and we're going to give you, if you're willing, we'll give you a shirt like a free man wears. And you take the money, and there's a bar over here in the town of Murphy that got an off-sale license. You buy whatever whiskey or whatever liquor you can get, and you can keep half of what you buy. Now, that week I was drinking Minnens aftershave lotion that had been strained through some bread. And it'll get you drunk, and you will smell good for a long time. But the men that are there with me, one of them was Woody. Woody was out of the prison system in Oklahoma. And the others, we strained all these. You could buy it on the canteen. That's well, canteens. You military people know all about canteens. You pour these bottles, and I don't even know how much, maybe 4 ounces, whatever it was. But you pour all these bottles through the bread in hopes of getting some of the perfume out of it, because it's not a kind drink. But it works. It works. If you get enough of it, it works. And so Woody said, Nuke, throw the bread away. And so I gathered all the bread up, and as I'm walking away toward the garbage can, I realized most of the alcohol I ate the bread. And Woody didn't want any of the bread, none of the others wanted any of the bread. I don't know if that's an omen or not. The other one I like is that AA and I were born the same year. It got sober quicker than I did. It was born, I think, in May of 1935, and I came along in October of 1935. So, and then let me cut through here a little bit. I have to be careful because I spent 21 out of 26 years locked up. That is not my problem. Prison is not my prison. It's the result of my actions. Prison is. In my home, I used to think sex was absolutely. You wonder how I jumped to there so quick. It's that damn child. That child was tall. Well, anyway, I'll leave her alone. And oh God, we just jumped again, didn't we? I got a sponsor that told me a long time ago, Clancy, he said, you got to learn to tell the truth in a gentler way. So I'm continuous censoring going on here at the same time. Let me just surmise it with, I drank alcohol as long and as hard as I could. I love Jack Daniels. I love vodka. I love Canadian Club. When we got that whiskey at that prison camp, he sat there. I mean, it was like, I've died and gone to heaven. I'd do 40 years if you want. I'll flatten it right there. Just let me do this every once in a while. And I got all them bottles, and I took them back. And then we ran out, because that's what you do. You drink it, you run out. And then they come to me several months later, and they said, hey, Nuke, you want to make another run? Sure. I mean, once you're successful, you're legal. You're not off prison property. You're just supposed to do it because just the alcoholic brain. It's not our fault. And so I took the money and made the run. And I'm down there and I'm buying. I got the bar set up. And boy, I mean, that was like, whew, I love vodka. It talks to you coming and going. It burns down, burns up, and then they say you can't smell. I don't know where you can smell it. Who cares? Can't taste it? Who cares? I've never fired for taste. I've gone for effect. I've been drinking since I was 11 years old, or sipping longer than that. I like to drink. In fact, drinking is very important to me. It takes priority over everything else. Brother, sister, mother, grandmother, father. Well, father died when I was 3, so I didn't know him anyway. I'm sitting there at that bar, and the door opens, and I had some feeling. It's a bar, restaurant combined. I turned and looked at the door, and the warden walked in. Yeah, well, you have a moment of speechlessness. There ain't nothing you can say. He seen me all the way across the room. Newcome, what are you doing here? Buying whiskey, sir. I had to call the sheriff. Yes, sir. You going to run? I said, didn't come here to run, come here to buy whiskey. Never entered my mind to escape. I know how to live there. I'm comfortable. You know, put me on the streets, I got to escape. Whatever. Well, they really messed my brain up, didn't they? And but Jack Daniels always cleared it. Always, always. The only peace of mind and comfort I've ever known in my life is through alcohol until I got sober. Absolutely. Fearless. Courage beyond necessity. Well, he went over to call the police, and I took a pint of vodka and I cracked the top. He said, "You can't drink that in front of me." I said, "You better turn your head." And I chugged that down. It was that important to me to not go to the... And they charged me with escape from a state prison and give me 5 years. Now, you'd think that would be a message. Maybe. Probably not in this room, but in most rooms, that would be a message. They pulled me out of that camp, put me in the county jail, took me in, sentenced me for escape from a state prison, took me to Folsom. I went to work. I spent 37 days in the hole. That's kind of common. Holes are comfortable. It's like going in your closet at home. If you've ever done it, I did that. I did that too. It's real comfortable in there. There's nobody bothering you. There's no fear. There's nothing to hurt you. Well, some of us are not wrapped too tight, but... And I come out of the hole and they put me to work in the mess hall. And two brothers are in there. They're both doing the habitual criminal act thing, whatever. They got a lot of time to serve. One of them works in the bakery and one works in the bread room. And they give me a job in the bread room. And I'm looking around and I'm saying, "Hey, your brother works in the bakery. Can you get me some yeast?" I just got 5 years. Escaped from state prison. I'm behind the walls, and I've never had to go behind the walls except just transporting. And the first thing I wanted to do is I made some pruno, and I made my pruno. I don't see that as a drinking problem. I see that as a necessity because you don't have any drink there. I'm only drinking that. I only drank rubbing alcohol because there wasn't anything else to drink. Not because I'm alcoholic. Anybody with any sense knows you don't drink rubbing alcohol. It's terrible. You puke things you can't identify, and did. It's terrible. And bile, that bile goes from green almost to blue some days. Bad color combination. So I'm going to go to any lengths for drinking. When I rob places, it's to get money to go get alcohol. I am going to take whatever money I get, and I'm going to go get drunk. And I don't last long. I mean, the two guys that ran the robbery detail in Bakersfield, I was born there, by the way, which is probably why I drink the way I drink. The two guys that worked the robbery detail, they used to say, well, see if Newcome's out or in. According to the crime committed, they just kind of knew. You know, I never went far. I love to drink. 1970. Jeez, I'm tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of lockup. I'm so tired of bending over and spreading my cheeks and running my, every degradation. Every day is a degradation. Every day. It's not a romantic place, but you get so lonely. You know, and when I walk out of that prison, I got two things in mind: alcohol and her. And I didn't know what to do with her the first time. I was young, a lot younger than you'd imagine. Excuse me. Got to figure out which one I opened. Sometimes I can't get them open. So macho. So it's Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's 1970, and it's Clancy's in charge, and it's the Pacific Group, just another prison. Keith Carpenter was a very gentle, kind, and loving man. He really was. He's somewhere around 6'4" and 260 pounds, a center for the 49ers. Every time I'd see him, he'd want to hug me, and it just bothered the hell out of me. But he's too big to complain. You know, hey, little buddy, and I God, come on, I don't like that, Keith. I'd tell him, I don't like being hugged, Keith. We don't hug each other in prison. Oh, some of them do, but you know, I don't play that crap. Oh, he hug you harder, or he'd kiss my cheek. God, I hated that. I hated it because it always made me feel warm, and that's a bad sign. Let's keep warm out of there. And anyway, Keith started sponsoring me in 1972. And I had to go through the regimentation of going to all these watches. I had to go play softball on the weekend. I don't do sports. I'm not a sports person. I run good. Better if there's a cop after me. I'm twice as fast. But adrenaline, I have survived adrenaline. You got this God thing. Every time you walk in the room, somebody's up there at the podium talking about it, and I found God. Come on, man. All they told me about God made me not want to ever find him was that he sees everything. I don't know what that does for you. That embarrasses me. A lot of things I shouldn't have done. And in Ohio Street in 1970, there's probably 180 people in the room, 150, I don't know how many. It seemed like more than that. Everybody was doing the same thing. If you were going to 7 meetings a week, everybody was. I mean, those ones that were classified as, bam, stamped with Pacific Group, you went to 7 meetings a week. And then some of them had children, they'd give them a little day off, things like that. There was breaks in the routine. But basically, everybody in that room was doing the same thing. We stood up at the same time. We held hands. I didn't like holding hands. I didn't like that Lord's Prayer crump. We don't need that, and I was ducking and dodging, making sure where I put my... Is somebody going to tell me when to shut up, or do I have to figure it out when the sun comes up?
I'll tell you now.
Thank you. And what time will that be?
It'll be 10 after.
10 after 9? Thank you. And Keith had a different routine than others. Keith was very kind, very gentle, but he wanted it done. He had me do an inventory. I told him I couldn't do an inventory. You're wanting me to put in writing what will convict me and put me away for the rest of my natural life, and I can't do that. And he come back to me later and he said, well, he says, you don't have to do an inventory, but he says, I believe this, if you don't do an inventory, you will drink again. Damn. So they got you, set the hook. They got you. Drink, don't drink. Drink, don't drink. Something happened from 1970 to 1972. I went out on the last woman you told me to leave alone, I left with her. And 6 months later, she was quite happy for me to come back to you. She never got back. 40 years and 6 months. And maybe it wasn't quite so cute after all. But she never got back. And so they had these rules. This is what we do. And every time you turn around, there'd be an A policeman standing there. old-timers look you in the eye, hi, how are you? And they don't turn their head. They just keep looking and looking until you give them an answer. I mean, just, come on. And then you're playing softball, and people are screaming at you because you drop a ball. And God almighty, we used to stab people. You owe me a pack of cigarettes and you can't pay me. I got a wonderful cigarette story to tell you. You owe me a pack of cigarettes and you can't pay me. I'm supposed to stab you. Cigarettes, stab, death. And now you're telling me I can't cuss in the yard. If I cuss, I got to pay a fine. I had such a run one day. Clancy was over on the side waiting. Because I got higher intelligence. I use double syllables when I cuss. And in Clancy's yard, one for each syllable, I guess. And he rang me up. He says, oh, God, give him $10 and shut up. And I went way over 10. Beat him again, didn't I? But just that mentality, this thing, umpire. I'm 10 years sober. I got enough time to be captain of my ball team. And the umpire, I pitch. I got about a 70, 75 mile an hour fast pitch with a softball. And most of the time I can get to the plate without hitting you. Frank J says I hit him every week. He says I hit him every week because I found out he used to be a policeman in Inglewood years ago. And I told him that wasn't true. It did help my aim a lot. But he's a Vietnam vet, and he doesn't know how to be non-aggressive. So he lays over a plate like he challenges that plate. You got to hit him. You can't miss. I think he likes pain. And so we had all this going on. And then you're telling me, leave the girls alone. I mean, I ain't got a year in yet, but come on, baby. I was locked up a long time. I left them alone a long time. My turn. There'd be Marvar right there in my ear. We don't do that here. I'm yeah, you don't do it anymore. But everybody's doing the same thing, and so you fall into step. Now, they're not working on the brain. I want to tell you about higher education in case you're in here worrying about maybe you're not educated enough to read the big book and decide what you can do and not do. When I was in prison, that's all. I can't change that story. That's what you're going to get. When I was in prison, a man owed me. I was running a business called 2 for 1, 3 for 2. Cigarettes, cartons of cigarettes. I loan you a carton of cigarettes, you pay me back 2, depending on how long. And so I'm in prison, and I got this little business running. You got to collect your money. You can't let somebody slide because you're out of business. Everybody there will come and borrow from you and walk. So you have to collect. And the guy owed me 2 cartons of cigarettes, and I don't want to stab this idiot because that ain't me. Give me a gun. I'm much better with a gun. They don't allow them in prison, so I'm on my own. And it's serious, but not serious. Well, it's serious. It's not serious today. He owes me. I went to collect. He can't give it to me. I postponed his collection, and I gave him another month, and then I gave him another 2 weeks, and he still can't. And I told him, I said, I'll be on the yard tomorrow morning, bring my cigarettes. And I went in, and I took my piece of steel I had in my bed and put it down in my seam of my Levi's, my pants. And I'm going out there on that yard with the purpose of stabbing this human being who owed me cigarettes. It's a business. I have to keep it high level. And as I got somewhere near him, he got real scared. And he said, Nuke, is there something we can do? And I looked at him a minute. I do not want to do this. And I said, where do you work? Education. I'm a head of education clerks. Oh. I said, I'm taking 6 years to the parole board here. I don't know, 6 years, whatever it was. I'm taking time to the parole board here soon. Can you give me one of them high school diplomas? And I graduated from high school that night. And he woke up the next morning. A few months ago, I applied at a large, I'm an operating engineer of high-rise buildings. Well, I used to be until my hair got too gray and they don't seem to want to hire me anymore. But anyway, I'm all union and all this. A few months ago, I was with a company that was very well known, and they had me fill out these forms. I'm trying to just do relief work, not even full-time. I filled out the form. They wants to know what grade level I said, well, high school graduate. And then they wanted to know where. Well, I was in Tracy, so I put Tracy Unified School District. And I didn't know if this fool. And then I went to work. I'm doing relief work. I'm just happy as I can be. My wife is smiling every night. Money's coming back into the house again. And I get this phone call. It's a message on my cell phone. Hi, I am so-and-so. I'm with the registration department at Tracy Unified School District. And I said, oh, no. And I'm getting goosebumps. So I called back and I got a machine. And I said, if you would not mind, I prefer to talk to you live with an explanation. And maybe we can figure out, because he couldn't find any record of my graduating the school. And then we connected. And in the course of our conversation, I explained to her that I was in the prison. And she says, oh, well, that's a different department. And I gave her my prison number, A35888. And she said, let me get back to you. And I said, well, I've been sober in Alcoholics Anonymous now and it was almost 40 years at that time. It was 40 years. And I said, I'm not the person I used to be. Oh, she said, my daughter joined Alcoholics Anonymous and she passed away 3 years ago. And I said, really? I said, I'm sorry to hear that. And she said, yes. She said, my husband and I are, this is on the phone. You're anonymous? Oh, don't be anonymous. You know, if it's going to cost you your job, be anonymous, but otherwise, don't be anonymous. She's on the phone telling me her daughter died. Her daughter had 3 months sobriety, and what really crushed her was her daughter was standing beside the car when another drunk driver hit her and killed the daughter. And her and her husband are fighting all the time. They're fighting back and forth. And I don't know where it came from. I said, oh, you and your husband are fighting. You can't decide which one of you failed the other so that your daughter got drunk and died. There was a long pause. I said, let me tell you something. I have sponsored policemen. I have sponsored priests. I have sponsored people from all walks of life. And I'll tell you today, you're not guilty. Nothing you could have done. You're not guilty. And 2 weeks later, I got another phone message. I had the greatest news. We got a hold of an old man over there at the prison. He must have been there for hundreds of years. But he found a record, and it says, Don Newcome, high school, or graduate high school, October 1st, 1959. So I graduated. That's how smart you have to be in Alcoholics Anonymous. Oh, good, I still got the time left. God and I aren't doing so well. You know, I had a lot of separation. You walk in a room at Ohio Street, you got every walk of life there is. I used to go in and sit my keys down because I wanted to have, if I'm going to have to hold somebody's hand, let it be a woman. I love women's hands. Y'all just I'm 77. There ain't an ugly woman left in the world. I've married 25 years and 30 years with this same woman, so it doesn't do me any good. Just, it's all up here, you know. I have the most beautiful wife in the world. She has a different disease. She's Catholic. My home is tonight, a 21-year-old son, an 18-year-old son, and a 16-year-old son in my home tonight. And all they know is when Daddy walks out the door to go to AA or go to work or wherever else, they all get in line, they kiss him. And when he gets home, they all get in line and they kiss him. And I kiss them on their mouth. Now, the oldest one, he's a little quick now. But it's okay, because I don't push that. And the youngest one, he gives me the kiss, and he kisses me about 7, 8 times on the cheek. And the first time he did that, I asked him, Kevin, I really love when you do that, but why do you do that? He said, I want you to know how much I love you. Not bad. My first marriage to a wonderful woman that I was drunk. I woke up in Vegas. There's a man sitting behind the desk. He's wearing a suit. He's got a nice tie on. He's obviously in office. And he said, that'll be $20, sir. That's my first part of the recollection of where we're at. I turned to this woman beside me. She's about 5'10", redheaded. Oh, God. And I said, what is that? He said, well, I knew who she was. She was the barmaid at the bar where I drank. And I didn't remember getting there. Well, $20. I'd have paid a lot more than that for a lot less. So I was married. And that was not a healthy marriage. That was a marriage where she wanted to reform me. She really did. She wanted to fix us. They fixed us. And she had 3 children there, 3-year-old, 7-year-old, 9-year-old, 9-year-old boy and two girls. And when they asked for something, I'd get this terrible thing would go up the back. My hair would just bristle. Get the same thing when somebody was getting to threaten me about fighting. I get this thing, it just goes up my spine, and everything around me just gets, I have no connection with it. And I've had that baby, I had that baby up in my hands and slam dunked it like a basketball into a crib. Thank God I hit the crib. Had the son sitting over there screaming, don't kill. I had a butcher knife in the mother. I'm sitting there holding her on her tiptoes. She can't hold herself up. And I got the knife like that. And then her own body weight started to go down. The knife started to go in her. And her son, 9-year-old Danny, screamed, please don't kill my mother. And I turned through the knife toward him, stuck in the cupboard. And then I went through that house and I got out to her car. And there was a pint of vodka in the glove compartment that I took. And I put that, it was like 3 in the morning. I took that car and I drove out of there and I drank that vodka and everything just went away. Just went away. Anger was gone, fear was gone. Had no guilt, no regret. Everything just went away. Alcohol does that for me. That's what it does for me. Erases everything. Now I walked back into that house when the sun come up and she was in the bed and the sheet was stuck where the bleeding had been. I went over and I pulled it back. And I looked at her and I said, if you hadn't caused me to act like that, that wouldn't have happened. And she apologized. So, thank you. Leona was a good woman. She didn't deserve that. I spent the first 20 years of my sobriety trying to find her to make amends because she told me I had to do that, and I wanted to do that. I've never been able to find her. One friend told me that, the effort you've made, if she's not here anymore, then she knows that you've already made it. And the effort you made has to be enough for now. But if it ever shows, then you can make that amends. Me and God, we ain't doing so well. Ramon Pena, and I don't like Mexicans too much in those early days because every time I get in prison, in reform schools, mostly state prison wasn't so bad, there always be riots going on. And you'd hear things like, hey, let's get Whitey, and hey, whoa. We don't always carry a knife with us in there, and then people are stabbing each other. You get separated. Okay, they're over here, and then the blacks are down here. Blacks are hollering Whitey, but Whitey survived. But Whitey got here with information that he couldn't just publicly put out. So you walk into meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, Kapooey, there they are. They're sitting there. There's a Mexican there, a black over there, and a gay over here. I don't mess with gays, farm. They're sorry, Bill. I don't play that crap. I got here intact, man. I look the way them boys walk in prison. They walk like that might hurt. I just don't fight you and hurt, One night at Ohio Street, I went over and I'd put my keys down so I'd make sure that there'd be two women. You can tell by purses. Not this night. Prettiest big old hand-carved leather purse you ever seen. You could smell it. It had lace around it. You could smell the perfume coming out of it. I said, this is a good spot to sit down. You know, and I got my spot there, and I sat down, and, excuse me, my watch fell off. I get down there quick, because getting up really hurts. They bang the gavel, it's time to come sit down. I look around, and here comes the biggest guy you ever see. He was a handsome fella, but that was his purse. He sat down beside me, and I thought, oh, okay, all right. We're going to do this Lord's Prayer crap, but if he squeezes my hand, I'm going to cut him. And then he had to squeeze my hand, which caused me questions later. What the hell's wrong with me? I didn't say that. That didn't come right away. That was a couple of years later that thought came into my head. I had delayed action. So now I got this separation. I got separations with the blacks. I got separation with the browns. I got the greens, the yellows, and gays. We can't, and so now I'm sober. And I found out an interesting thing. When you start teaching somebody else this program and the steps, you become the student, because I missed that part. I'm regiment. I do whatever you're doing. I follow you where you follow. I play ball when you tell me to play ball. I carry the cups around. I clean up and do the ashtrays. I do all the stuff, put the chairs, I put them back. I do all the commitments because I got to have one. Got to have one 7 nights a week. Shoot, boy, what an order. What about my free time? What are you going to do with it? I don't know. Go to a movie? No. Yeah. And so at Ohio, at Wednesday night meeting, we have we probably run 600-700 people every Wednesday night. Here comes this young man floating. He's so gay, he floats across the room. And I'm watching. You can tell. You can tell they're zoning in on you. John, oh man, I need a sponsor. And I think, yeah, I'm sure you do. And I kind of looked up at the sky and I said, don't do this to me. I don't know nothing about that crap. I don't play it. I got here intact. And he asked me to sponsor him. I'll sponsor you, Johnny. Because there's AA police everywhere. I can't tell him no. I wanted to, but I can't. Every day you call me, the first day you miss, you get another sponsor. 7 in the morning. Hi, sponsor, this is Johnny. Oh, that's nice, Johnny, that's nice. We're doing his inventory. We're out on the Pacific Coast Highway, because that's the way I was taught. And he's reading this thing, and I stopped him. It's so hard. When you get a newcomer reading that inventory, it's like stopping a freight train. First, you can't get them to go. You can't get them to tell it. Now they started, when their mouth starts going, they can't shut up. Don't stop me, what are you doing? This is the important part. But he didn't say that, I could tell. Yeah. I said, Johnny, wait a minute. Let me share something with you so that you will trust me as I trust you. And we'll have this equal thing. And I took Johnny to the farm. And by the time I finished that story, he looked at me in utter disgust. And he says, you did what? I offered, he said, I overshared. It took me most of the part of the first year that I sponsored Johnny to find out that his sexual preferences are none of my business. He wasn't there asking me to sponsor him as from being gay or anything. He had no problem with it, none whatsoever. He asked me to sponsor him, to teach him how to stay sober every day in this daily life that we have, and it's a miserable life some days. It's hard stuff. And some 5 years later, I had to go into a hospital and hold his hand, tell him I love him, and let him know that he's going to be safe. Ramon had died of liver cancer. Ramon was my first amends, first Mexican. We bonded. We became great friends. And he died of liver cancer sober. and I lost a friend. I found out what it was to be really connected and really involved with another human being emotionally. And I got to kiss Ramon on his face, scared the hell out of him. But I wasn't going to see him again. He passed away. And I told Johnny, I said, Johnny said, I'm just afraid. What's next? Where am I going? I said, Johnny, you heard me talk about Ramon? I said, I'll make you a promise. I'll make you a promise. The minute you leave this world, Ramon will be there to greet you. And Johnny just relaxed. He believed me because he trusted me. Because we had this 5 years of love, whatever it was you have that you change with another human being, and nothing to do with sex, and nothing to do with that at all. Just the spirit of life. God sitting in there working. I ain't got no God. I know he's there. I know he's got the information I don't want anybody else to have. I did an honest inventory. I sat down with Keith Carpenter. I told him I will not put in writing what will convict me, but I will tell it to you. And we agreed on that, and we did it. And he said, if I ever need to change that, I'll let you know. And, of course, he's passed on, so that's the end. I'm driving out to, I went to a convention in Bakersfield. The guy I sponsored is a cop. The guy I sponsor, another one I sponsored, is a treasurer at the convention. My job is to take all the money that's collected at Bakersfield and move it to a bank. Charles's job as a police officer is to put his gun on and escort me to that bank because I have some criminal people in that town. If they ever thought I had any money, he and I both would be in trouble. And the next day I had some of that money left. It's Monday, and I drive from my house in Reseda out to Valencia where Johnny lives, and I want to return it. I had $37 in the bank for 5 of us to live off of for 4 days. I was broke. I've been that way a long time now. I was broke, but I had almost $6,000 in cash in my pocket because that's where it goes. You couldn't get that from me. You would kill me to take that from me. You turned me around, just following in step. And then teaching. The minute I start teaching, I start being the sponsor. I start learning this big book. I start learning this program. I am the student. I may be your teacher, but I'm the student. I'm learning. I got to Johnny's house. The front wheel of my car is wiggling around. My wife is with me. Catholic, I failed to mention too much, not enough of. Those 3 children, they went in Johnny's backyard. He's got 4 kids. He follows what his sponsor does. They're all back there having fun, and I crawled into the car to tighten up a few nuts to keep some oil leaking, and I just didn't want to be back there. I'm not a socialist person. I'm not very sociable. Even with my own children, I like my children. It's yours that bother me. And not really bother me. I don't know what to do always. And I crawled into that car, and I had it jacked up in the air. I had the wheel off. And I thought it was a wheel bearing. It turned out to be the steel belt coming off the tire. And as I crawled back out, the jack collapsed. Bam. And it's instantaneous. It's not even measurable. Bam, I got a car on my chest. Bam, the brake rotor's in my head. It's in my head, not on it, it's in it. And the blood is all over the place. And I am conscious because I learned how to live off adrenaline. Every time you scared me, every time you had a riot, I heard that guns being shot and the guards firing at you. Adrenaline, and I come out from under that car. I am not aware of anything except I have great fear. I know that there's this thing in my head. I can see the blood. I'm crying out, "Will somebody help me? Somebody help me, please." And nobody can hear me. I got this thing on my chest. I got no voice. And then the car started to move a little bit. And I could feel my head going backwards. Then for the last resort, instead of calling for help, I just said, "God help me, please." Everything under that car went quiet. Sweet, quiet. No fear, no pain, nothing. There's a presence. I couldn't identify it. I couldn't see it as a human. There was a presence. And then the car moved again, and then the car come off my head. And it turned out that my wife, at about 128 or 36 pounds, came out, said one of her Catholic voodoo things. I am one now, so I can do that. And she grabbed the wheel well of the car, and she picked it up off my head. And titanium eye socket, titanium here, no sense of smell. They had to rebuild my face. I'm supposed to be dead. There's no punishing God. He ain't a punishing God. Karma. That's the one you got to watch out for. What you put out, you get back. And I'm going to tell you, Keith Carpenter used to tell me, put $1 in the basket, you'll get 10 back. Put $1 in the basket. Oh, come on, man. You're going to con a con, for Christ's sake? Put $1 in the basket, you get 10 back. I went up to him some years later when we were in our financial strifes. And I said, hey, Keith, when do I get the 10 back? When you need it. I need it now. He said, no, you want it. Come on, that's trickery. They took me from Henry Mayo, where I was not supposed to be alive. They rebuilt my head. They moved me back to Reseda. This cop come over to my house every day on his motorcycle. Charles, he's now the secretary of our Wednesday night meeting. And he'd go to my wife, and they would get together quietly, you know. And then he would find out what was billed, what bills were needed, what rent needed to be paid, all the money that had to come out of that house for 5 people living in it. And he'd take it back to Clancy, and he'd take it to you. $1 in, 10 back when you need it. God and I are on good terms today. He's not a punishing God. One day I hit my knee on the car door. I'm slamming it. I'm getting out of the car quick. This is after. I used to see. I probably won't even tell you that one. I slammed my knee on this thing, and it really hurt bad because I'm recovering. I still got my head still it's not bandaged now, but you know. And I took off. I mean, I'm known in the neighborhood as that quiet man on the corner. I wasn't the quiet man on the corner that minute, and I'm cursing God. I'm cursing. Double syllable. And I'm telling God and his son and their mother and all of them and the dogs of hell and the orgy they're about to have. I'm screaming the top of my lungs. It's like 5 PM. And I looked over across the car, and my wife is Welsh Irish. She's got this beautiful black hair, comes all the way down to her fanny. She's standing over there, and she just got this grin. The grin is not what I expected to see. And I looked at her, and I said, oh, damn. I said, I guess I got to apologize to him now, don't I? And she said, no, by now he knows how you pray. Not Al-Anon, just pure. I wish I could tell you I was going to 7 meetings a week and sponsored 100 people. I'm doing everything I'm capable of doing in AA. I try to get, I'm probably making 2 or 3 meetings a week. I'm saying yes to any AA request to come to. My family would like to have me home there tonight. It's the first time we've had please don't, I love being here. I am so grateful because you see, I have to be sober. I have to be alive another day. This is my privilege. Now, the only thing I told them was, don't you dare have a lot of fun while I'm not there. But they love me. My family loves me. They made me become a Catholic in order to marry that woman. I was engaged with that woman. This will rock your boat real good because let's go from the farm to humans. If it's warm, I want to be there. Jesus Christ, here it comes. Some of these people know me. And this woman and I are engaged about 8 years. And she's raised Catholic, and she's never been with another man, so we didn't have any bedroom privileges. Whew. It's when the hair went gray, I think. So I'm kind of anxious the night of our wedding. How am I doing? We still all right? Okay.
5 minutes.
Oh, good. It's the night of our wedding. Clancy stopped the yard on a Saturday to give us a reception. They took me over. The priest, Ventura, who's now gone, was my godfather. Vince and this crazy, insane man from New York was the witness. They took me in, and the priest, threw water in my face, slapped me upside the head, and made me a Catholic. And he said, now he knew my story. I gave him everything, in a 5-minute pitch, and the important things that Catholics would want to know. Never mind. So And he said, Don, you've been forgiven. You've now been, afterwards, you've now been forgiven for everything you've ever done. I said, Father, everything? Yes, everything. Because he knew. I told him about that. Oh, he's just a human being. What the hell does he know? But I tell you, it felt good. And I stepped away and I started to walk. He said, oh, Don, don't mess it up. The night of my honeymoon. Oh, I love this one. You know, I'm anxious. 7, 8 years. Good Catholic girl. I don't know what she's done to cause this to happen to her, but I'm glad to be providing. And we get up to the hotel. The guys they got a hotel. Clancy, they took a collection. They got us a room looking over the ocean. Beautiful. Excellent surroundings. Yeah. You want me to carry you across? I probably would have fell down. But I did. I carried her across the threshold. And I said, I had all these cards and these gifts. They surround you with all everybody giving everything. And I said, coy-like, you know, if a man can be that, would you like to get ready for bed? Bed, you know, that place we haven't been at for 10 years. I didn't say that. It was just a passing thought. And then she kind of him-hawed around a little bit. And she says, I have something I need to tell you. And she had started her cycle. And I swear to God, I looked up at the sky and I started laughing. I said, very funny, very funny. Some 7 days, our honeymoon was to travel. We love to drive places. And we're going through Oklahoma, and I come into Oklahoma City, and we got a motel room, and she said, honey, would you do me a favor before you come in? I went, out in the trunk, would you go bring me a piece of that wedding cake? Damn, a woman sure likes to eat a lot. It's about 10 o'clock at night. So I went out and got this piece of I got this wedding cake that we had. We'd carried it all the way from Clancy's. And when I walked in, she was attired in her baby gown, little bit. I forgot. We can do that now. And then the head got crushed. They rebuilt it. My children love their daddy. They're surrounding him. They found cancer in the prostate. They removed the cancer, broke my toy. So, yeah, it takes a minute to circulate, doesn't it? And then, I'll tell you, if you're looking for reasons to drink, I just gave you 20 minutes of them. But you don't drink no matter what. I don't care what else. Don't drink. Don't drink. And that's been a hard, difficult part of my life, but we had already practiced. We'd been engaged for almost 8 or 9 years without any bedroom privileges. My wife is perfectly happy with me today. I'm not so happy, but I'm getting better. God is in this room. God is here with you. It's going to be a new year. What's that, another day? Change the date on it. You know, I hope you have secrets that you've not told that you will get rid of today. I hope you'll have a sponsor that you trust enough to just let them know a piece of you. And you come to these meetings and you do what these people do, and I promise you, you'll stay sober. Thank you.
I'll help you down.
That's my knees.
Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, all three of my knees are broken.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst and one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.